is now being recorded.
Well, good afternoon and good morning to our West Coast people. We are going to get started in today's webinar, and the webinar being Preparing for the New Appy PPR Fields. Today's webinar is, well, what I back up and should say, our housekeeping items for today's webinar, we're all muted, or you guys are. If you have questions, please feel free to type them into the Q&A panel. If I see them starting to backlog, I might start answering them during the webinar, but I don't expect it to be a terribly long webinar, so we might save them towards the end, but please feel free to ask all questions. And with that, we will get started. So the agenda for today's webinar includes the timeline for when grantees should be collecting data for the new fields and when the new fields will be required in the Appy PPR, the directions for where to find the list of all the new fields and a sample of some of those new fields, notes about two specific new fields, the decline to ID and the demographics at time of final matched withdrawal fields, a checklist of common grantee forms and tools that grantees should be using to make sure that you've been able to update all of your materials to include the new fields, and directions for where to submit questions regarding this webinar. So the timeline for all of this happening, I do see a lot of familiar names on our registrant list, and a lot of you have already dealt with the new AFI PPR. That's the long form and the short form in OLDC. So last summer, we started the new AFI PPR for collecting 2015. We immediately rolled into the 2016 collection, and now what we're dealing with for the new fields, which for those of you who already started the new AFI PPRs, they were optional for those first two long forms and the short form that just happened at the end of January. And they're still optional through fiscal year 2017, so that's September 30th, 2017. But grantees will be required to submit data on the new field starting in the short form for the first quarter of fiscal year 2018. So that's the one that's due January 30th, 2018. And although that might feel like you have a lot of time, grantees should be changing over your data collection tools right now so that you're ready to collect the data by October 1st of this year, which is the reporting period start date for that fiscal year 2018 AFI PPR short form. So it's all about planning ahead, so when that short form comes due, January next year, you're ready to hit the ground running. So all grantees should look over the full list of new fields. It's been posted on the Appy Resource Center since last summer, and the link is above here. If you have trouble finding it, just always feel free to contact the Appy Help Desk, and we'll put that information up at the end. And then here's just a few of the new fields that you're going to need to collect. So this is not the exhaustive list that's posted on the website. This is just some of the highlights of some of the new fields. You must look at the whole list of all the new fields posted on the Appy Resource Center, because these fields are highlighted because they are maybe the most challenging as you change your data collection. So that includes the geographic service area, the limitations on lump sum deposits, total number of Appy IDA holders who met all requirements for making a matched withdrawal but have not completed a matched withdrawal yet, emergency withdrawals by type. In the older reports, it was all lumped together, but now it's broken out by type. So for medical care, to prevent eviction or a foreclosure, and to meet living expenses after loss of employment. Also, IDA holder ethnicity, Hispanic or Latino, not Hispanic or Latino, is a new breakout in the ethnicity and race categories. The demographic option declined to ID, and the AFI IDA holder demographics at the time of final match withdrawal. So there's two demographic timeframes that we're now collecting specifically. So going into some of those specifics, there are two new fields we would really like to specifically call out and clarify how they should be used. The first is this decline to ID field used in the long form in the demographic section E and F. So if you've done the long form already, you've seen this. Grantees are expected to collect this data, but individuals have the right to decline. So decline to ID should only be used when you have asked an IDA holder for demographic information, but the holder themselves has declined to provide the information. So unlike in the old data report, there is no longer an unknown field for demographic categories. So if you forget to ask information, the grantee will simply not be able to report that IDA holder information in sections E and F. So you should be asking all of your participants, all of your IDA holders for all these demographics, and it's up to them to decline to ID. So hopefully it's not a matter of forgetting to ask them. So then the other category that we want to talk about specifically is the demographics at time of final matched withdrawal. So these fields make up section F in the long form. It's a shorter section, kind of 4 categories, and the key part is at time of final matched withdrawal. So first, to set the scene, in the long form, demographics are reported for 3 instances. In section E, part A, demographics are reported for all IDA holders when they enroll. Section E, part B, demographics are reported for just those IDA holders who made a matched withdrawal using the same demographic data you collected at the time of enrollment. So basically, you don't have to ask them again. You're just going to say, everyone who started a project, who enrolled in Part A, that's their demographics. Of those, here's the ones who made a matched withdrawal, and that's the same demographic data. But then the trick is in Section F, demographics are reported for Appy IDA holders who made a matched withdrawal, but at the time of the final matched withdrawal. So this means grantees need to collect demographic data a second time for those IDA holders. So you'll be collecting it again when they make their final matched withdrawal. But the nice part to that is it's not the full set of demographic data. It's only for 4 demographic areas, which are educational attainment, home ownership, business ownership, and receipt of TANF. So you're not asking them again for their age and their race and, all those things. That's already done. You're just asking for these 4 demographic areas when you get into Section F. So moving on. So now that we have a few examples of the new fields being collected and we know that we need to find the full list of fields at the Appy Resource Center, let's discuss what you should be updating in order to start collecting data on these new fields by October 1st of this year. So after you're familiar with the full list of fields, you should make a list of the internal documents you use for Appy that will be affected by these fields. So this could include your application forms, your intake forms, matched withdrawal forms, emergency withdrawal forms, and any other forms that you use with your Appy project. So once you've sat down, you've read them over, you see what data you're collecting, you've compared it to the new fields that are collected for the Appy PPR, draft new versions, make review, have someone double check and make sure you didn't miss anything, and then go ahead and make the changes. So the other component to that then is updating your data system, whether that's a simple file you created yourself or software by a data management company. So if you need a new way to track data, consider using the participant data tracking tool for projects with partners independently opening IDAs. There's also a partner data tracking tool, and both of those are available on the Appy Resource Center website. They're Excel spreadsheets that have a lot of formulas where you can put in the participant level data and it will roll up automatically to make your calculations to put into your Appy PPRs. And if you're using a third party as your data management tool, please encourage them to familiarize their organization with the new Appy PPR, and you can refer them to the open letter to data management products for Appy grantees. So that's also posted on the Appy Resource Center. So if you're using one of the third-party data management tools, make sure that they know their system needs to be updated as well, so that you have a way of tracking the data that you need for the Appy PPR. Just next, a little plug that might help some of you as you're going through this process. So next week on Wednesday, I believe, March 22nd, there will be a webinar on data collection platforms. So feel free to join that webinar. You might learn better ways to do your data collection platform. You might get to talk with other grantees and see what they're using so that you can make choices for your organization that might make your Appy project run a little smoother for you. And that is our very short and sweet webinar. So just to recap, we went through and the big takeaway is definitely be familiar with the new fields, because by October you need to be collecting them so that you can report on them by the January 30th due date in 2018. So it's going to happen sooner than you think. So definitely plan ahead. And I'm going to start taking a look at some of the questions that are coming in, so feel free to type in and we will answer them as they come in. So let me give a chance to look over these and I'll start answering them. So we have a question that's saying that one of the new fields is asking if a participant has ever used a prepaid card, and that's true. That's in the demographics section in section E. The question is, what is the official definition of a prepaid card? I don't think Appy was expecting. That's a good level of detail to be thinking about. Maybe I'm just going to write this down as one that we might need to have OCS put out clarification about. In general, prepaid cards are referring to a lot of banks, and not even banks, but you'll even see at supermarkets will offer, they're not unlike gift cards in a lot of sense, where you can put money on it. So you can sometimes, even with a bank, will let you deposit money, which is basically onto a prepaid card. So it's a way for a lot of people who don't feel they have enough money or don't have enough money to get into the conventional banking accounts to have a way that they can make purchases online or not have to carry a lot of cash around. So that's a general answer, but I'm writing down that we can start thinking of specific answers to that as well. Okay, our next question. Yes, this webinar is being recorded, and we will be posting the slides and the recording online afterwards. And we can send out the slides to anyone who registered as well. So I'll do a follow-up email to all of our registrants with the slides, and we'll let you know when it's posted online on the Appy Resource Center. Next question. So if you've already been collecting for the new data fields, yes, by all means, go ahead and submit that data. You're not required to yet, but if you're there, that is super. So feel free to report on those fields. If you submitted the last long form, you know that they were really double checking to make sure that you intended to submit those fields. They didn't want people mistakenly just entering data because they felt that they had to, which might happen again with the 2017 long form. So don't be surprised if you get a question just double checking with you that you did mean to submit for the new fields, but we are happy that you're doing that. So just a reminder again where the full list of new data fields are. Let me go back to that slide. So if you're on the Appy Resource Center, you will go under Managing Your Appy Grant. It's one of the top icons. I believe it has actually I'm trying to remember the icon picture, but it's under Managing Your Appy Grant, and then you'll see Reporting is about halfway down, and then you'll get into all the PPR resources. So, or you can use this link here. So if you go to the website and type AFI PPR after the main part of the URL, you can get there as well. Let's see what other questions we have here. Regarding the definition of financial coaching versus credit counseling. Credit counseling is very specific to credit. Financial coaching tends to be a lot broader. So it could get into budgeting, it could get into, how do you time your bills? How do you set up a cash flow for your household's incoming and outgoing expenses? So credit counseling tends to be very specifically, let's look at your credit, let's pull up your credit report, let's look it over, let's discuss, a plan that will work for you to try to improve your credit score. So very specific just to credit. How do you determine those ready to purchase as those who purchased? That's a good question. So in this sense, so that I think we're referring to the new field. Let me go there. So the third bullet here is the total number of IDA holders who met all requirements but have not completed a matched withdrawal, so they're ready to make that purchase. So basically, they've met your requirements. They're ready to purchase as far as the rules go. They've made their savings. They've saved for at least 6 months. They've met any additional rules that your organization has for your participants, whether that's the amount that they've saved or how long they've saved for, the fact that they haven't missed X number of savings periods. So those are the ones that are ready to purchase. So hopefully I answered that question. If I need to clarify, let me know. The next question. So the 10/2017 deadline refers to applicants who apply on or after 10/2017. So the 10/2017 deadline is basically the reporting period for the Q1 fiscal year 2018 report. So fiscal year 2018 starts October 1st, 2017 and goes through December 31st, 2017 with a due date of January 30th, 2018. So it's not really referring to your applicants. It's referring to anything, activity that's happening within that period. So there are going to be grantees who are currently active grantees. Your grants are in your second, third, fourth year, fifth year, who are overlapping. So do your best if you can backdate some of your information. Maybe you have a way to get some of your demographics up to date. But as of 10/1/2017 activity, that's when you definitely need to be collecting data for any activity that's happening then. So like I said, if you can start even doing it by June, let's give ourselves a goal, give yourself a goal that you can meet for starting to get some of your data collection up to speed. Maybe you can already have that data ready and going for people you're enrolling in June or July, August, etc. Okay. Let's see here. I think I'm getting close to the end of questions, so if you have more questions, feel free to add them in. So someone is asking about question E3 and E2. So it's about race and ethnicity, separate questions. So in theory, your total number of IDA holders would be the same total for each of those. So let's say you enrolled 10 people. So all of your race category in E3 would equal 10, and all of your ethnicity categories in E2 would equal 10. The only caveat would be is someone declined to ID. So maybe 3 people declined to ID their ethnicity. So you're actually only going to have 7 people reported in E2, and that's because we don't have that unknown field anymore. So, if you don't know it because it wasn't collected before, then you don't report it. So if 100% of your people report, then yes, those will equal your total IDA holders, and they'll be the same total for each of those fields. But if you have people who are declining to ID, or more, they decline to ID, they're actually the fields for it, excuse me. If they're unknowns, then you're not going to have the same number back and forth between all of your different demographic fields. There's a more detailed question again about the financial and credit counseling. In general, with the section that's asking about services, I believe that's section C now. Appy is just trying to get a sense of, is there something else that's helping FE IDA holders? So as far as like detailed definitions, we can talk offline. Just to make sure, put you in an area where you feel comfortable responding and making sure that you're giving the correct answer. But there isn't specific official definitions at this point, but we can talk if you want to make sure that you're providing an answer that you feel comfortable with as well. So we're getting some very detailed questions. You guys are doing your homework. So there is an unknown in E2, but most of the demographics don't have an unknown. I'm sorry, you guys are catching me. So there is like a few of the demographics out at the top are unknown, But again, that should be used for when they put it as unknown, when your IDA holder says unknown. It's not unknown in the sense of you don't know it, it's the sense of they don't know it, which you can question why or why not they wouldn't know their own race or ethnicity, but for all intents and purposes, that's up to your IDA holder to respond however they feel comfortable, which is totally okay. Let's see here. I think we're getting to the end of the questions here. There might be one more I might be able to answer as a group. So therefore, Hispanic, Latino under ethnicity will go under multiracial or unknown. So Hispanic, Latino, I think maybe you're asking this, it used to be in the race category and now it's separated into ethnicity. So you could, if in your old data collection you had Hispanic/Latino, which would make sense that you were collecting, it's not necessarily a new field, you could report that number now in ethnicity. Just don't put the difference as the not Hispanic Latino. So don't assume that just because you have 30 IDA holders, 10 of them previously reported being Hispanic, that the other 20 are not. Don't make that assumption. I mean, it's not an unwise assumption, but just don't make that assumption. Just report the 10 who did say that they were Hispanic Latino as in the ethnicity category that now is separated from the race category. Okay, I will give it another minute for any other questions coming in. And I'm just going to scroll off to the last slide so you guys know for sure. I mean, I definitely have talked with some of you, and for those of you who haven't, we do have a nice help desk with both an email and a phone number. If you have any questions at any time about Appy, including the Appy PPR, but also including other questions. If you do ask more program-related questions and you're a grantee, we probably will send you to your program specialist, but we're always a great starting point if you're ever unsure who to contact. One last question. What if we have a client who is Black Latino? So they would get reported as Black in the race category and Latino in the ethnicity category. So you're not double counting them at that point. It's two different categories. And we're getting a few more questions. So the Hispanic Latino category is not in race anymore. It's ethnicity. So ethnicity in this, like if you look at the PPR long form, and it is posted again on under managing, under reporting on the Resource Center, you can see a Word version of the PPR long form. Otherwise, if you have access to OLDC, you can log in and look at one of your long forms there. But the new Appy PPR does break out race and ethnicity into separate categories. So Hispanic and Latino is under ethnicity, not race anymore. And I think that's all of our big questions. Okay, well, this has been a super webinar. I appreciate all the great questions. So, like I said, maybe set yourself a goal for looking at that new list of, or the list of new fields and getting your forms and your data collection tools up to speed. And then, of course, as you have questions, that is what we're here for. So please feel free at any time to contact the help desk with these kind of questions or anything else about Appy. So with that, I will let you guys go and have a good rest of your day. Thank you.